This is the Secret City Geek Lab on KTST-FM, and I'm Alan Ng. Big news coming up in the Star Wars realm. A couple weeks ago, if you've been visiting secretcitycomedy.com/geeklab, you know that Lucasfilm shut down the LucasArts video game department. In the wake of that, a big announcement was made recently. It was announced that Lucasfilm Limited and Disney Interactive are entering into a multi-year, multi-title exclusive licensing agreement with Electronic Arts Incorporated, also known as AE. This will cover the creation of new high-quality Star Wars games spanning multiple genres for consoles, PCs, mobile, and tablet. Industry leaders and creators of best-in-class blockbuster games, the development and publishing team at AE will collaborate with the creative teams at Lucasfilm to provide audiences with all new gaming experiences set in the ever-expanding Star Wars galaxy. As part of the agreement, AE Studios teams DICE, creators of Battlefield series, and Visceral, the Dead Space series, will join BioWare, Mass Effect series, and the Star Wars The Old Republic in the development of new Star Wars games. Our number one objective was to find a developer who could consistently deliver our fans great Star Wars games for years to come, said Kathleen Kennedy, president of Lucasfilms. When we look at the talent and teams that AE has committed to our games and the quality of their vision for Star Wars, the choice was clear. This announcement really shocked the entertainment world, or the video game world, and I had a chance to talk with Joey Shope and William Acker and get their opinions about what happened, and here's that discussion. We haven't had one of these in a while, but it's a Secret City Roundtable. With me is Joey Shope and
William Acker.
All right, and we're going to talk about... so apparently LucasArts has given its licenses to...
EA video games. Yeah, more specifically, last month they closed down LucasArts after Disney had taken control over Lucasfilms, and instead now gives the rights to all Star Wars games to EA. So now we have EA working on all new potential Star Wars games, and what they've talked about so far is doing sequels, spin-offs, and etc. So we can kind of explore the Star Wars universe that they've built already.
Okay, so first question I have is EA the right company to do this?
That is the question, really.
Yeah.
What are some of EA's titles, successful titles?
Battlefield,
Dead Space, fantastic game. You have Dragon Wars, which is a mass multiplayer RPG. Great game. All three of those great games.
all the sports games.
Yeah, and they're all. The thing about it is EA holds a bunch of different kind of companies that kind of work under them, such as DICE, and which made Battlefield.
Let me put it this way: I played Battlefront 2, the Stormtrooper video game where you get to go to different planets and shoot, stuff like that. If they made Battlefront 3 or a game like that with clones going around shooting much like Battlefield 3, then I'd be pretty excited about that. But again, not a lot of information's been dropped from either side, really.
Yeah. Disney says that they are going to hold on to mobile, social, tablet, and online game categories.
So regarding Star Wars?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
So they're going to keep things like Star Wars Angry Birds. They're going to keep the any online Star Wars games that they're thinking about producing through Facebook or etc. That's all going to be through Disney, but mostly main console games are going to be stuck with EA.
Okay. Well, what are your general thoughts about and feelings about this?
I'm nervous. I'm really nervous because EA has made some great games, like we talked about. Things like BioWare made Dragon Age, Visceral made Dead Space, and both of those are absolutely fantastic games. One of the recent flops they've made was SimCity Online, which is what the problem with that game. It was always on. There was just a lot of flaws in the development of the game and the design and the output of the game. And that led EA right now has the worst company of all time for the last 2 years.
They've won that prestigious award twice.
All right, so Joey, what's your any additional thoughts? Or
let me put it this way, kind of going off what Will said. If they make these games like an all online, kind of like they did with SimCity, then I'll lose all shred of hope that I have towards them. However, because I think that'd be kind of hard to do on a console-based game, I doubt they will. It's not impossible. Knowing EA, they'll try to make as much money as possible. Every single game that they're going to produce is going to have downloadable content that adds, a fraction of stuff to the game that's going to cost you a fortune as a player. But they have the potential to make great Star Wars games. Like Will said, I am also nervous.
Okay, so let's go over a few of the LucasArts titles that were Star Wars based. What's the most recent one?
Knights of the Old Republic?
Yeah, that would be the most.
Knights of the Old Republic was an MMORPG, so an online multiple player game.
And that's actually online now.
It's online now, so Disney technically owns that one.
Yes, correct.
And it's free to own, play. So some people like it. I really didn't get into MMORPGs. Like I said, I played only a handful of them. Like I played Battlefront 2 a lot. I played some of the Elden 64 one. I didn't really play a lot of modern ones.
Knights of the Old Republic was one of their better games. It was similar to the Old Republic, where you had this character you could build. More recent titles that LucasArts was working on were things like Star Wars 1313, which was a new bounty hunter game based in Coruscant. They were working on a new pod racing game. There was a lot of stuff in kind of works right now with LucasArts, and when Disney shut it down, we're really what I really want to see is where they're if EA is going to pick these titles back up again and bring them back, or they're just going to drop them dead and start fresh.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you would think they would pick them up because they were popular titles beforehand, and I don't know if if one company develops something to a point, can they just take it over, or do they have to start from scratch?
I imagine they're not going to start from scratch. I mean, I know both of those games weren't they were nowhere near complete. So if the original LucasArts just lay down some foundation, I imagine EA will just pick up on that and steamroll ahead.
All right, let's go back in time a little bit. What was your first initial reactions when Disney shut down LucasArts?
I was a little upset. I mean, a lot of the games from my childhood were LucasArts. You had the original pod racing games. You had Rogue Squadron from the N64. Like Joey talked about, these are some games that I loved, and LucasArts has done some great work in the video game industry.
Yeah, how can we forget Sam and Max and Day of the Tentacle?
Yeah, Sam and Max was great. I love that.
I love Sam and Max. All right, Joey.
Well, I'm not surprised because watching Disney and what they're doing recently with all Lucas things as a whole. They're really just focusing on these next 3 movies. So I wasn't surprised that they ditched these titles and LucasArts as a whole video game making company. But I'm glad someone picked it up. I thought maybe they might try to be an independent third party kind of thing, but it'd be difficult to do working around Disney and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think you bring it up because Disney is basically, with the new movies coming up, they're shutting down everything basically to get everything in line with these new movies. Television shows that were in development, things that have been close to being produced are being produced, such as some of these comic books, but for the most part, they're shutting stuff down. And then also Disney has a great track record when it comes to taking over companies. When they bought out Pixar, they pretty much let Pixar go and do what they do and do what they do best. And the same thing with Marvel. They came in, took over Marvel, and they didn't come and meddle with the comic books. Yeah. And they've given a great deal of freedom and creative control to the people who actually run the comic book business. So you kind of hope the same thing occurs here, where they're giving their license over to a reputable company that can make something good out of it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, actually. If Disney maybe had some stricter guidelines of what kind of game they wanted, then maybe EA could streamline that, and that could be a really, really good game, as opposed to where, you give EA complete control and stuff like SimCity happens.
Yeah, that's the one thing I am worried about. Now that EA does have strict licensing control over Disney or Star Wars games, I'm just really worried about where they're going to go with it and what they're going to do, and potentially if they're going to make another gigantic flop.
Right.
So.
Okay. Well, we'll see. All right. This has been a video game roundtable with Will Acker and Joey Shope.